you. Well, hello, everybody. Glad to see you all. This is officially started, so roll call will start with Mr. Griffin.
Michael Griffin, present.
Sue Polidura, present.
Susan Sterry, present.
Celeste Brooks, present.
And Carrie Rubenstein's on.
Carrie Rubenstein.
Sorry. Eva
Eva Boyce on Zoom.
and Dee.
And Dee Dee Forte on Zoom.
Cool. All right. I'm hoping all of you had a chance to go over all the minutes and notes from the last 3 meetings. Oh, we can't do anything with them, right?
No, we can't, not officially, but if anyone has any comments, I can take them back informally and when you eventually get the opportunity. So if anyone sees anything that needs adjustment, I'd be happy. You can either scribble me a little note and I'll take it with me, or if, that way when you do get your quorum at some point in person, you can take action. Maybe when the weather warms up and the snowbirds come back.
Hopefully.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Okay, so that took care of that. Potential ordinance change. That was also in the attachment that Donna sent out to everybody. And those of us here have it right here in front of us. I'll go first. I thought it was good, but I just need clarification for me because I'm always getting it mixed up in my head. 2 years thereafter, 2 all appointments filled. About the quorum part, where is the quorum?
So the quorum would be half. So if we changed it to 7 to 11 members, then we'd be okay with a quorum. If there are 7 members, then the quorum would be 4.
Okay,
That would be a lot easier to meet because we have 4 today.
And we usually do have 4 to
We
6.
usually do have 4. So,
Okay.
if it turned out that you wound up having all 11 members, then the quorum would be half of 11, 5, 6. You need 6.
Right.
So, depends how many members, but it's has to be that just over half under state law.
And so the second part of that is if we go down, approve this, and go down to that number, then that means, like, the 4 of us could vote, but they could also have input too, right? Anybody on Zoom.
That's the beauty is, once you have the in-person quorum,
Okay.
you can then have people by phone or other members by phone and Zoom, and they can vote just like everyone else. Once you have that magic number of quorum in person, then they can fully participate. You just have to have the critical number, at least right now under New Hampshire law. There's continuing consideration at the State House of legislation that might allow more flexibility like we have now, because we have if we were allowed to count the 3 people on Zoom, we would have our quorum of 7.
Right.
But we are not allowed to do that right now under New Hampshire law. But it's something, Sue,
Right.
Senator Quokka had been working
Right.
on with some other senators, and that's still pending. I haven't checked legislatively whether it's still active and might have a chance, but precisely for reasons like this. But for now, we need that magic number in person. And what I would suggest, because we've had such trouble making quorum, if, in the ideal world, you would have a vote of the committee to send this change to the governance committee for consideration before it goes up to the city council. But there is nothing to limit the authority of the chair, so to speak, to say, hey, this is what we've been discussing. We haven't had a quorum to formally act, but I'd like to take it to the governance committee for, some consideration before hopefully we get a quorum, and then could send it right to city council. So, so that's kind of my thinking, is that the chair could take it to the
Right,
next
'cause-
governance committee and just say, we've been working on this because we're having trouble making quorum. Do you have any feedback for the cemetery committee before we take it to city council.
Oh, that would be good.
So that's my thought.
Does anyone have any suggestions or questions about this particular ordinance before I suggest?
Yeah.
It
And
looks,
let's,
Carrie. Oh,
So do we start from ground zero with alternating appointment periods?
so what Bob Sullivan, I thought artfully drafted, is that he had in language in here, or actually maybe it was in,
no, I think it's on here too.
yeah,
Yeah, it's in,
yeah, that, you know, there's additional language. Maybe I didn't print off the right one to attach to the,
he just didn't want all of the terms to expire at the same time.
right, exactly. Yeah, so it is, the first 4 members appointed after adoption will be for 3-year terms.
Right.
Then all other appointments going forward are 2-year terms. So that's how you get the
That's the way they
stagger.
explained it, yep.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep. I knew it was here somewhere.
right.
Yeah, and then he's got the language in here that says, the terms of the existing members are terminated, but the mayor shall thereafter reappoint the members of the committee until all existing members have been offered the opportunity for reappointment. So it's like, if you'd like to continue, just let the mayor, you know, fill out the application, and the
Right.
mayor can move it forward and give all of the existing members first crack at coming back. So, so I thought that was good. 'Cause obviously, we've done a lot of work, and it would be nice to have you guys
Yes,
stay.
have everybody continue
Yeah,
that knows
exactly.
what's
So
So,
the current term of the original members will expire,
December.
if we make no other changes, but they could adopt this, you know, it depends on how fast you want this to go, but this could move forward in the next couple of months, and then we just very carefully, so there isn't a big gap of time, get you all reappointed.
good.
So that you don't all cycle off in December, you know? That's,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think this looks perfect to me, and.
It'll keep
we're-
us, it'll sustain us.
Right.
Otherwise,
that's the goal, I think.
And,
Yeah.
and since we can still meet and discuss things, it doesn't hamper us too much, not right now, with all the different things that are already in progress anyway, so, that don't need to be reapproved, so.
Yeah, so I'm happy to work with Sue to get this to the governance committee, and in her capacity as chair, saying this is something we've been discussing, since we can't vote. And she can get feedback if they have any. I think they're going to be very pleased that you're working to, you know, make this a board that works more effectively for you, so.
Right, and they just, I don't know if they finished reviewing everything, but they're in the process of doing it now, too, so. Yes, I would request that we could at least have this reviewed
Yep.
for feedback from the governance committee and see what their suggestions or what they think of it, so,
So I'll work with you on that.
okay,
We'll do a communication to the chair.
okay. All right, next one, status of current projects. We've got
Yep.
quite a few going on out there. Well, let me, before you get into the complicated ones, the door at Cotton Cemetery is back in and it looks beautiful. So if you're on South Street, ride by and it stands out. And Andy Croto did a really good job on it. So good that the other ones look really bad. So, which I knew that might be anyway. But he is going to give me estimates and things like that. And that's just something to put on the list because one of the big doors are wooden and they were just something someone did a long time ago just to, cover the space, and then another small one. But my other concern is when I really took the time to read up there, I think it's Henry Cotton. the gentleman who the cemetery's family donated and everything, he's there and he's one of the small doors and the door is not ready to come off, but it's rusted and needs to be repainted. So a couple of them are just, repainting and cleaning the stone around them. And then there's a big double door and a small. But again, that's down the line, but he's going to give us some quotes on that. So if we come up with funds or nothing to do, we can,
I
put
spoke
that.
to my brother, and in our lifetimes, we're not aware that there were steel doors on that.
Oh, really?
Not aware.
Okay.
May have been at one time, but not in my lifetime.
Right, so we can do, well, this.
Needs a coat of paint if this is 2 years down the road.
Right.
With a-
And the other two steel doors need to be brushed, so,
I'll talk Dick Adams into doing that.
oh, okay. Okay. And also, we didn't mention that inside the door that we had repaired, Michael can speak to this. He saw what was inside of there, the memorial stones or the,
There appears to be 8 government-sized marker stones inside of that door entrance. There could be no way of determining any names, or they're stacked one on top of each other. They weigh about 200 pounds apiece.
yeah,
How old are they?
there's no,
Those government markers, that's within the last 50 years.
Huh.
So I don't know who they belong to and why they're in there.
so again, that just going on the list of,
Yeah.
we stumble across. or
I've got the
anybody-
keys,
Right.
and I can go in and identify who they are.
Well, at least like the top one. So that's another thing on the do list and repair. Not repair, but a little bit of research, or if any of you hear something, then, maybe we can follow up with it. Again, it's not on the top of the list, but just out there. Then at Clough Field, the cemetery is here, and then there is a slope right here. Well, much to my surprise, 3 weeks ago, the city came and they cleared all the underbrush that was on that hill. And there's 8 huge piles, and they are bonfire piles, each and every one of them, that came down. So when you look at that embankment now, you don't just see all this crud, you actually see the cemetery. Because your focus now is you're looking over there and all these nice trees, and you can see the stone wall, and you can see headstones. So it's just like, you have to see it. It just makes it like a real New England cemetery view of that. And the other plus side is rocks from the one section that is knocked over. The rocks are on the side of the hill. So to repair that wall, to put it back together again, it's not going to be easy getting the rocks up, but it's a dry stack anyway. The rocks are there, or they should say boulders. They're not quite boulders. So that was a pleasant surprise, and something that was unexpected. But because we had no snow up until that point, they sent people over there to take care of it. And plus, it was, not a horrendous fire problem, but if all that dead wood underneath had caught fire, it doesn't take long, to have something more severe happen. So that project was done. Those are the two that were totally completed. Now Suzanne can tell us about the moose plate and the seawall that we have going.
So we have a meeting scheduled next Wednesday, I think it is, with the potential contractor to do the work for the repair of that wall, the engineer, outside engineer that would be involved, city staff, me, Sue will come, and we're going to kind of do a coordination meeting, because we're at the point where we're getting the estimates, we're trying to figure out how to get down there effectively, make sure we've dotted all the i's, crossed the t's. So there's some coordination that needs to be done, and that's really where we are right now. I'm working to make sure we have all the funds continue to be set aside for the matching portion, or the parts that exceed the $20,000 grant funds that we're getting from the Moose Plate Grant Program. We've got the first 10,000 in. It has hit the city coffers, so to speak, and then the remaining 10 would come after the work is completed. So that is happening. We have the signage that will go up to indicate that it's a Moose Plate Grant funded project once we get going. So that's kind of where that stands.
Well,
Has a contractor been selected?
yeah.
Well, we've got the estimate from Pickering, so we're just gonna, because there aren't really a lot of contractors who
No,
would
that's-
do this, and they're the
It's not
folks. Yeah, so, we haven't inked the contract yet, but that's why the coordination meeting, to make sure we know who's doing what, and that we've got all the pieces covered. And I think they're still trying to get us the final permitting number, which is why the engineer's gonna be there to see how big that scope of permitting will do.
You'll discuss the access at that point?
Yep. Yep, because that's the tricky, one of the tricky
Yes.
parts. Yep. Yep, and Sue had some original reach out with potentially working with some of the abutters in terms of access, and we kind of back and forth. So I thought, you know what, sometimes email is not the best way to do things. At some point, it's like, let's get everyone in a room and let's pull up the plan and then kind of sort it out.
And just so you know, the reason, like, I'll be going to this meeting, that I would anticipate I wouldn't after that, is because I lined up so many of the things and talked to so many different people, but now we have, I don't know Christine's last name. It's
Begins with an S.
yeah. They've hired a engineer, a project engineer, and now she just came on board about 2 months ago. So she's now in charge of this project now that everything's going on. So we're all just going to get together because I've talked to so many people and other people have talked to people. So we just need to let Christine know this is all the information. And then from there, she'll be taking care of the project. She'll keep us in the loop, let us know how it's going if we run into anything. But that's why I'm going there, because I talk to a lot of people. So.
Yep, and then eventually Christine will kind of look a little more at the wall at Point of Graves. So that's kind of on her plate after this kind of gets launched and got a little more bandwidth. So that's not fallen off the plate, it's just waiting its time so we can kick this off. What else do we have for projects? Corin has ordered the marker for Union Cemetery for the historic, that is on the historic
Registration,
register.
yeah.
Yep, so that has been ordered.
Excellent.
And
Yep.
Jimmy Dumont found a 8.5-foot piece of granite that we'll be able to use, and he, it should, I gave him the rough dimensions, then they'll take it, and he said they'll inset it into the piece of granite and put it in the cemetery. So that's hopefully wrapped up and will happen somewhere along the line, so.
Yep, Corin is expecting spring. We shouldn't be. Yep. And then I know we have, I think we've authorized a surveyor to go out for the Hall Street effort, and, taking care of the trees, so making sure we know where the boundaries are first. So that effort is underway. They might have been getting a couple of quotes, but the thought was get it well marked out
Yeah.
so that everyone knows where the lines are, where the property lines are and the easement is. So,
Yeah, so as soon as we have that done, then we'll coordinate a walk at the site with the trees and greenery, and then, of course, all of us can come with it too, and I'll keep you posted, but that's going to be, probably a couple months out, so, but it will happen, and we will get to walk the property, so. Okay, so that one. And then the signs for, all the signs are going to go up in the
Springtime,
spring.
yep.
As soon as corn. So the dusk to dawn sign, and then the dogs.
Yeah, it's on the same sign.
Yeah,
Yep.
right.
Yeah, respect the place,
Yeah.
basically. Yep.
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 So I think, and I want to throw out there that Eva's working on, just today, the state emailed me the upcoming outlines for the Moose Plate and for the L-chip. And there is, which is state, I think they do a really good job. There are several seminars in March sometime that we can sign. Eva's already signed up for them, or the one that we need. And so we're going to start that process so we have some time to figure out what's going to happen with the stone wall at Point of Graves. So we've got plenty of time to get that together. Don't we, Eva? Since you're doing all the work. No.
Well, I don't know if this is the appropriate time on our meeting schedule to talk about it, because the L-chip grant is extremely complicated. If anyone has 40 minutes of time to give to look at the presentation that a man named George Bourne did for the L-chip grant in 2022, you can find that on the State Historical Resources Division website. I learned a lot from it, and one of the things I learned is that we have to make a determination really about how to proceed in terms of the money that we ask for and how we're going to go about it. And so, would you rather I curtail this, or would you rather, or can I tell more about it?
Well,
I can wait. I can
Or
wait
you've
till
got
next
other business under 8. You
Yeah.
can see how you.
But I think it would be great if somebody else looked at it besides me,
Right.
if it's possible.
okay.
What's the person's name?
His name is George Bourne, B-O-R-N, and he does the work with the L-chip grant. And he has there's a video of the explanation of how to apply for an L-chip grant. And I watched it twice and took notes just to be sure that I understood it.
Yeah, okay.
It's
Okay.
very demanding.
Okay. All right.
Something to look
Thank you all.
forward to.
All right. We will. You won't. You're not alone. So, and I think that covers all the projects that we've had going and get done, which is a lot.
What happened with the project on that cemetery? Or what is it, behind Petra's house?
That's the
That's
Hall
Hall
Street.
Cemetery.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's being surveyed.
Oh,
Oh,
so
Peter,
we
yeah.
haven't cleared anything or done anything with
Right.
trees?
Oh no,
No.
nothing. No.
Did you fall asleep? We just talked about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh, I must have just,
Yeah. Well, it's Hall. It's Hall. You probably Peacher Cemetery, but it's Hall Cemetery. No, we're Peter Rice is taking care of having it surveyed officially, and then once that's done and marking out the lines, then the trees and greenery are going to walk the site, and we can do that at the same time.
no,
and
I just thought
discuss.
we were talking about the L-chip grant.
No, it was right before that.
You were on your cell phone while we were talking about it.
Yes. Bad habit, too.
All right. Available funds.
Yep.
We have hundreds and thousands. I wish.
So, so what we've got, you'll be pleased to know we actually do have a little fund for historic markers. So the $75, because it's now $75, not $50
Right.
for the marker. So we actually have a little fund for historic markers. So
Oh, cool.
that, I use that fund
Yes, thank you.
for the historic marker, not a cemetery fund. So the little trust, the Historic Cemetery Trust, so the formal trust, funds are held by the trustees of trust funds, that has $4,157 in it and 46 cents as of a couple of days ago, when I got the numbers. And that's the little fund that you've been using, for example, the cleaning supplies. So that's with that. Now, for the bigger capital projects, we have in capital outlay for historic cemeteries and walls and other infrastructure related to that, we currently have 104. And that does not reflect the fact that we have these commitments,
Right,
for example, for the north
yeah.
cemetery back wall there, which is why we'll kind of finalize what those commitments are once we get the final updated estimates and give some thought. Do we do permitting as we originally thought for the whole of the project? Because we'll get some, hopefully, cost savings, so that's a bigger number. I think that's probably where we might want to go, but we're going to wait and see what we get for estimates, have this coordination meeting, because that might determine how much we spend out of that 104, and then, as you know, we're waiting to see what we do and recommend for the Point of Graves, and so that's what's in there right now. And then, in addition, we have about $5,000 in specialty donations for historic cemeteries, which would include the donations that we got for doing the data entry for the
Right,
software.
yeah, right.
So we should just kind of keep in mind, because I know you're working with the library
Yeah.
and other folks on that. When you're ready for that data entry,
Right,
let me know and we'll get it coordinated so that we can,
Right.
hire some temp help or
right.
figure out how to do the temp help and get that data entered. So that's all specially segregated.
Right.
And I would say some of that money, because about 2,000 is very specific to the data entry. The other 3,000 is just historic cemeteries, probably includes Carrie's, I think it was Carrie's money. Someone who made the recent
Carrie,
donation is probably in that item right there as well.
Right.
So if there's more cleaning supplies, it's a nice little place to go for those miscellaneous expenses that you might see as you come up to the 400th and, are trying to tackle some of the projects.
Yeah.
So know that there's money in there. So if the sailors wind up coming to help and we need some more materials, there's probably tap that right out because it's geared right for that. So.
Oh, good, because
So there's that, and then, of course, the 10,000 from the Moose Plate. So, we've got some money, to kind of work. And then, when these issues come up, like the vault, then we'll use the cemetery money for, fixing the vault door and, those kind of ongoing needs. So that's the report.
thank you. I guess this would have fallen under status of current projects, because we said we cleaned 400 headstones, and the money made me think of it. So at Cotton Cemetery, there is roughly 400 headstones. I picked the dates in May, because May's not hot. After last summer's experience, we could probably even do it in April, but I'm not going to force that. Yeah, force that. But I cleaned headstones right up in November, and I cleaned some in December. So the stuff works on a decent day. It works. But anyway, the 4 weekends in May 6th, 13th, the 20th, and the 27th. And I'll post all these. I just did it for this meeting. I'm going to, at the end of this month, I don't want to go out too far to ask, but I'm going to approach DAR, the Elks, the Friends of the South End, and we are officially the city for the people from the Cheyenne. I didn't want to start that process yet either until I knew exactly, you know, when and where and how much. And then also, I'll contact people that we did, that helped all last summer. I have a spreadsheet with all their names and email addresses. Sometime in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to sit down with Corin, we already talked about it, and go over what the supplies are. We found out some better things to use, cleaning for the purpose that will last longer. We went through a lot of the bottles and things like that, and there were some bottles that were better than other. We have quite a few gallons, but we need more D too anyway. So, and of course, all of you, whoever can make it during those dates, you know, more than welcome to come. And then for the summer, I don't have a sense of the Cheyenne, but it's possible with the Cheyenne helping us that we may not even need all these dates. We don't have, once Cotton is clean, all we have left is Union and the backside of North. So, which is fantastic. So we may not even need all these dates, but Saturday, June the 10th, Saturday, July the 8th.
I think the 10th might be Market Square Day.
Is it?
It's the second Saturday.
I always forget about them because I don't go.
Oh, yeah. So
So it's going to be the 10th?
I think so.
All right, I'll find another
Second
day.
yeah,
Saturday in
second
June.
Saturday in June, which is the 10th. So we'll be busy in town.
Okay, so I will find, what's the date before,
The
or the weekend after is fine.
17th.
All right, June the 17th.
Yep, it is the
And so then I'll push back, what's the weekend after July the 8th? Please, sorry. Oh, I have my calendar, what am I doing?
Yeah. What do you?
I know, I'm depending on you.
This planner ends in
May.
June, so you'll have to look up July.
Yeah, July the 8th is the week of 4th of July, so I'll push it back to July the 15th. And then 1, 2, 3. August, hopefully August will be the end of it. So August the 5th. And then September 9th and October 7th. But I don't anticipate, we may be done by at the end of August, so which would be really great.
So did you, just for my notes, did you adjust the day in June, or?
Yes, June the 17th
Okay,
and July the 15th.
okay, thanks.
We'll do that.
Now, is that just cleaning or cleaning and repair?
No, just cleaning.
Just cleaning. Anything new on the repair side of it?
Yeah, well, I shouldn't, yes. The next after, so that's it for the projects that are going on. I will let everybody know. And again, if any of you have any organizations that you're a part of, that, you know, you're more than welcome to approach them and say, come clean, it's not hard, have fun, and we'll give you free water. So, most people come with their water bottle. So straightening and repairing headstones. I don't know if Peter Rice spoke to you or not about this. I contacted, the state got back to me and said, no problem. We're not, the state archaeologist said, no, if we're just digging right around headstones to straighten them, there's no problem, we can do it. And then the other person about repairing the headstones, she wrote back and said, we have no problem with you repairing, just consult John Lord. And I said, we're already ahead of you because John Lord has been our mentor with this whole project. So I let Corin know that, and he said he was going to talk to Peter to get the okay, because these are the kinds of things that it wouldn't be a big group. We would probably try, I talked to Michael about this. I mean, you need 2 people to, sort of straighten the headstone and even repair it. So we could do teams, and this doesn't have to be done on a Saturday. As long as people are trained, we would still have some sort of commitment down the line as to when. But the important thing is to get the okay from Peter, reassure him that we're not going to find any bones. And I mean, that's a real concern, but the state's okay with us doing that. So, I mean, I take it seriously as far as if we came across something, we would stop. But chances are in these 2 situations are pretty low. So, so as soon as we heard back from Peter that he would bless this, then we'll start working on trying to get a few teams together and set some dates and decide what our project areas are. So, we might just want to just try to straighten this year, and then next year head for repairing, because I'm not sure how easy it is to repair out in the field if you can't take them out. So that's where we stand with that right now. So,
Yeah, I think I'll follow up with Peter, but it may be that we just develop a really clear protocol and we know in advance who the teams are. And,
exactly.
And, so I'll work with Peter on that, and we'll kind of report back before we get too far along.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I wasn't going to try to do anything until
Yep.
Peter. And my thought was, we will train people and then come up with dates in exactly where we might start doing that, so everybody would be, clear what we're doing. It wouldn't just be willy-nilly. So that's where we stand with that, which I think is great, because a year ago, it was really, no, you shouldn't do that. And now, I think a lot of it has to do that we've proven that we're just not a wild bunch of people not knowing what we're doing, which makes a big difference. And I know the word's gotten around the state to various towns about what we're doing and how big this project is down here. So we've gotten some really good publicity out there in the cemetery restoration in a community, which is where we're going to get all our help anyway. So that's that. Let's see, what do I have on here? John Lord. And I've talked to John Lord. He's he's excited, actually, more than willing to be a part of helping with the training and everything else. So we've already talked about talking. That's it. I don't have anything else that's urgent or going on. I mean, I sort of feel like we're wrapping up the first year, and now with the grants and looking forward, we're starting the second year round of projects that we can do. And some of them are small and easy, and we can do them, quite a few. So, the database, I'll update. I just finished doing Union Cemetery, and the last alphabetical name for Union, his name is James White, and then he was buried in 1853. I probably will never forget his name when I get there. And I'm going to start, I've already started on the database for North. But as Suzanne said, I'm going to check with the library this week. I haven't heard anything from Katie. And as soon as I know that the database is up and it's functioning with the information that we have, then I'll start looking for someone to input for the other cemeteries that the $1,500 came for. But I don't really want to do that until we know that it's up and running. So the most important thing was to get all our cemeteries up there. So, and I should have Union done, North done in a couple of days. So, so that's the update on that. So, does anybody have anything they want?
Yes, under public comment, I believe.
Yeah.
I'd like to state for the record that the Portsmouth Lodge of Elks recently conducted what we call our meat and lobster raffle, but basically it's a charitable function that we conduct once a month at the lodge, and our Veterans Committee had requested the funds from our last one, which would have been 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 Sundays ago.
We raised over $2,000, which will be used in conjunction with Reefs Across America and Reefs Across New Hampshire, which I believe is December
It's usually-
15th.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. And we will be laying wreaths on all of the Revolutionary War heroes buried here in Portsmouth.
It's really
So
cool.
we have the funds available to do that and then some. And then one step beyond that, we as Elks have a function once a year where we recognize individuals within the lodge for their contributions. Elk of the Year, Officer of the Year, and Citizen of the Year. And this year, Sue, who was a member of the Portsmouth Lodge of Elks, was our award recipient of Portsmouth Elk Citizen of the Year for all the work that she has done
Congratulations. That's
on
awesome.
behalf of this committee.
That's awesome.
Thank you
Yeah.
for mentioning that. I mean, the Elks there have been a number of Elks at every single cleaning that we do, so they've contributed a lot to the headstone cleaning, and I get questions all the time, when are we starting again? So, thank you for telling them that, Michael. And again, Elks have been a big part of this. And actually, I talked to the new, or the person that's coming in as the exalted ruler, and we are even going to start a cemetery committee. What we're going to do or how we're going to do it or anything, I don't know. But it's something that there are so many Elks that are interested in this that we thought we should at least start something and let it roll from there. So we may have, additional people to help out or committed to our cemeteries, which is really what it's all about. So if we lose our cemeteries, we lose our history, and that's all I'm going to say.
Very good. Yeah.
Say. Does
There's a
anybody?
lot of it that's been lost already.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can't, and I don't know, just for general information, since we have a few minutes, I found out about a family cemetery that was buried under a road right over, it's not McDonough Street, but Rock Street, is it? By the North Mill Pond. There was a big family estate there, and a lot of they buried, this is back late 1600s to the 1700s, and Tom Heidemann from the Athenaeum told me about this. He said, do you know about the Fuller family cemetery being buried? And I said, no. But I did some research, and we don't know where the headstones are, other than that it's just one more cemetery that, was lost to progress. They built where the Heinemann building is right now, or the old Heinemann building. All that land back to the waterfront was all a part of a big estate, a beautiful estate, and on there, their family members were buried. And when they were putting a road in, someone used a headstone from 16-something and just used it for filler when they were covering up the water piping. This was in the 1800s. And someone came to ask about it from Boston, and the guy was still alive. He goes, oh yeah, I'll show you. He went there. This is in Rambles with Portsmouth. And he dug it up, and it was Ann Fuller, I believe, from 1692 or something like that. So, I mean, views of cemetery and headstones and everything have changed over the years, so.
Well, we just learned that as the DNA analysis of the body that was recovered in Sanford, Maine.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it wasn't that uncommon up until maybe the late 50s
Right.
that removing and relocating family burial plots
Right.
was a normal course of business.
Yeah, but plowing right over it's a whole other thing entirely.
Well, yeah, no, I know that. So, but the point of both of those is that, that's why, I think the committee is important, and whatever work we can do to restore cemeteries is not in vain. I mean, they're going to be around for a lot longer, maybe not 300 years from now or what have you, but,
Bone-in ribeye tonight.
yeah. All right,
Someone
if
told
no
me
one
it's
else
on the
has
way.
any
Yeah.
comments
Fell
or
out.
input?
What is this, at the lodge?
Warwick Club.
Oh,
So, all right.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, everybody. And since this isn't a formal meeting, we'll talk to you all later. Thanks for coming.